Howdy, everyone. Yet another day of writing live. I actually am quite happy that I started early writing today. Um, I just have so many things to be doing. There's just, considering I'm home all the time, there seems to be a lot of stuff constantly going on. Not good, not bad, just stuff. Um, I think because you're home so much, keeping your house running is a little more of a chore. Um, my dishwasher, if my dishwasher has to do any more dishes, it's going to scream at me. Um, but good stuff happening all the way around. The the thing I'm most excited about, last night I got artwork from my artist for the next three novels. We're still in the kind of the discovery, flesh it out phase. But he sent me some really cool artwork that I, you know, need to respond to. He sent me um, like a 4-page email with ideas and suggestions and thought process, and it's captivating to read. It's just very overwhelming at first, and I have the instinct to always respond as an artist. So I always want to pitch back with, hey, I got this cool idea. What about this? What if we did this? And, that's great and everything, but that doesn't get us closer to a book cover. So um, that's kind of what I have going on in the background at the moment. Um, Meanwhile, my newsletter went out today, which is kind of funny. And, standard promo stuff. And I didn't know what to write this week because I don't have like some deep, meaningful thing to write about. And I refuse to write about being isolated and COVID and all that crap over and over again. So this time I uh, wrote about my mother, and we had a conversation yesterday that just kind of struck me, and I was like, hey, I'm going to do that. But the funny part to it is I put in a spot where people could send my mother well wishes for Mother's Day, and I've gotten more interaction on this email than I've ever gotten on anything before. So apparently, my mother can sell books. So we'll see how that all pans out. Um, but yeah, so far, it's same shit, different day. We are moving forward with all the con stuff. I talked to Trish yesterday. We have a podcast coming out tomorrow, and all of that's pretty exciting at the moment. So um, the mini con, the virtual conference is on superherofiction.com, which I will just slap that banner right there. And that'll be for next week at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely hop in and, participate. That's why we do it. Like, we get excited to be geeky. Um, but today I actually have a scene I need to get through because I need to transition and switch to working on my serial. So I have stuff that actually needs to get written today. Normally I can go and take my time and I'm setting up a sprint. I can take my time and just kind of wander my way through a project, but this one I release every other Friday. So it's just important for me to make sure that I'm consistent with that, mostly because, what else do I have going on? But yeah, so that is on my to-do list for today. And then I have some just general admin tasks that have to happen later, but nothing that's super pressing. So for once, I can focus on the writing, and I'm quite thrilled with this. I mean, granted, I still doing day job stuff on the side. So the bot that we use to do the sprints is being super temperamental lately. I'm assuming that there are just far too many people at home writing, which, you know, is awesome. Just darn technology worked for me. Stupid bot. Finally, things. So yeah, that's been going on, and then I have a couple interviews that I have to do. And this has been kind of cool because I'm doing interviews with other superhero folk, which I just really like. It kind of serves two purposes, and this is one of the reasons why we get these kind of agreements. And you know, part of what we have to do is produce content all the time to, you know, keep fans happy, but at the same time we need to, you know, get our name out there. So by doing interviews on people's blogs and whatnot, you're providing them content while at the same time getting your name out there, or your product, or whatever you're doing. But I have a really good one from Bob Morris, and he did a really good job asking questions. Normally they're kind of generic and very like tailor them yourselves, but he went through my website and read all the stuff on my books, and he asked some like really poignant questions. You know, he's asking specifically about Conklin and why did I transition to Eleanor for the prequels? What inspired me to come up with the serial for Madison Walker? What methods of writing am I using? Are there any techniques that you have adapted from other authors into your own writing? Like, they're good, solid questions. So I'm pretty happy with that. However, the downside is he asked 20 questions, which is a lot, but they're good. And so now I need to answer them. And it's going to be like a 10-page interview at this point. Why, hello, Franklin.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going all right. I had like a mini panic attack like a half an hour ago where I opened my Scrivener project. And I had been consolidating all my sprints into chapters, and I forgot to copy and paste a section where it was supposed to go. And I'm looking at my files being like, I wrote the end of that chapter. Where is the end of that chapter? And I went back through all my backups being like, where is it? I know that I did it. Luckily, it was still in like the trash. So I found it and copied and pasted it. And I'm like, please no, I'm not doing this again.
That's the thing of nightmare right there.
Oh, and like it's so fresh in my head that I was like, I can hear the dialogue the characters were saying in my mind. I know that I did this, and I didn't just dream that I did this. So I found it. I'm not letting that happen again.
So I backed my file up in like 10 different locations when all said and done, and the problem is the file structure of Scrivener. Every time you go in and write something, even though it looks like you're writing in the same scene, it's actually a separate file, and it's what you visually are seeing are all these chopped up files being compressed together into one. So if you lose, like, oh crap, I lost a page, now where is it in the backup? You open it up, and like my backup right now is over 100,000 files. Like, some of them you'll open it up, it'll be one sentence, and you're like, how do you organize this?
No, I don't go that deep into their structure. I do like a fresh like save as and just number them like this is today's date, so that way I just open that up and it's not all confusing. But it's probably not the most elegant way to do it. But I have like a folder just for all of my dated copies of my projects. So
I wish Scrivener's back end was neater, just for file safety, because I looked at it yesterday and I just crossed over. Oh no, I'm at 792,000 words in this document.
oh my gosh. Oh.
It's like there's 7 books, 3 short stories, and the serial all in one document.
It's like that horrifying scene in Jurassic Park where they're like, how many lines of code are there? 2 million. Gotta go through all these Scrivener lines one by one.
But like, I don't want to have, like, when I'm done with this project, I'll split out my my original books and then this new trilogy. And what I'll just do is put the new trilogy into its own, because I already know all the characters that are involved. I don't need to keep looking up spellings of names or places.
Yeah.
But I like having all the characters and places that I reference in one spot without having to have a whole separate document open.
Yeah, I agree, because I started doing that too for anything new that I've done in the past like 6 months. I've just been like, well, we're just gonna make a new folder in this project and just call it book 2 or book 3 or whatever, because I hated trying to keep like I
I think Franklin froze. He's here in spirit. We'll see if he pops back in. Meanwhile, hi, Trish. There he is.
I think my Wi-Fi is really crappy for whatever reason today. So if I disappear, that is why.
Every time you log in, you're in a different spot in your house.
Yeah, because I move around because it's like there's sun, or then there's not enough sun, depending on the time, or I have a bunch of junk just like lying around that I don't want anyone to see.
I always try and have the geek wall in there. Like when we do the podcast, it's coming straight at the geek wall. But like if I turn this way, you're like, oh, a door and a bad painting.
Yeah. It's like all these older buildings. It's like they were not designed for video backdrops.
You need to put up a green screen.
Yeah, or just gonna have like a dedicated solid color blanket on like some sort of.
And you can have mood lighting just on you.
Oh, come on. Well, all right, here we go. Wow, it is really struggling on my end. This is weird.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on in the neighborhood, but So this I may not last long.
Okay, I'm gonna hop into the last 15 of this sprint and then see what happens. Hopefully,
right.
you'll be here when we return.
Yeah, I'll do the same thing.
Woot. 454. Ooh,
You did more than me.
I beat Franklin.
I got really stuck.
I'm gonna frame this moment.
Grid shot.
You think I'm kidding? I've been writing the same scene for 2 days, and it's a fight scene, and then it's a revenge for something bad that happened that on the surface originally looks like they're just kind of going on a side quest, but it starts a cascade of things that's going to happen for the rest of the book. And I'm just like, most of the scenes in this book are about 1,200 words, and I'm now on 2,000 for this one scene.
Yeah, I've noticed as I develop, it's like the chapters do get longer because I'm getting better at like pacing and not doing like bare bones.
And it's an emotionally charged fight, so I got to make sure there's emotion.
Oh yeah,
but plenty of ass kicking.
It's like a lot of internal dialogue for the character.
Yeah, my character's gotten a little bit cruel in this one. Her friend or mentor or whatever, who is Japanese in World War II, gets the crap kicked out of him, and there's die Jap written on the wall, and so they go and hunt them down, and there is definitely a moral gray area happening because we're gonna leave bodies in our wake. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm reading some like how-to books right now on characters, and a lot of them come from like, your character has to be trustworthy, your audience needs to feel connected to them, and then they're like, it's really difficult to write a character that is in a moral gray area because it's a fine line between your audience despising them and your audience loving them, and you have to like walk the line. I'm like, yeah, I know, I'm attracted to you.
I think my favorite stories are heroes who fall from grace, like over the course of either the book or the trilogy or the arc or whatever. They start very pious, they reach a descent, and then sometimes redeem themselves, or sometimes just walk off into the night, and this is what you're left with.
Mm-hmm.
But like, look at like Daredevil or Deadpool, like,
yeah, they're in.
People love that angsty, moody, sometimes humorous.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for the characters that are like, I know the world's crap, that's why I'm just gonna do whatever I want. It's like, yeah, that's what we all do.
At some point, like, especially for superheroes, I just feel like at some point being righteous must get boring.
Yeah.
Like, just this week I'm going to be bad. I'll go back to being good next week. Like, I want a superhero, like, vacation.
That would be interesting to read. Like, we're gonna do whatever we want now. It's our vacation. Oh. It's like that makes me think of the Flash, where it's like, I have to drink so much to even feel anything for a split second. It's like, there goes all of our alcohol supply for the whole week-long vacation. Thanks so much.
Yeah, just gone. I keep getting emails for work that are so multi-step, like nothing that's due right now, but like down the road, you're going to need to do this. Here are the 13 steps you have to do to make it happen. Ugh.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of extra steps that are happening in everyone's jobs right now where it's like even like easy tasks yesterday that I had to do, it was like, okay, cool, I'm done with this, it's ready for you. Oh, can you please do this instead? You just added 3 steps to this. It was already done. I'm going to go back now.
And it would be so much easier because you're doing everything in email, so you're documenting, you're not just doing.
Mhm.
Like for teaching, I could just walk into the classroom and be like, okay, guys, I know what we're doing today. Here it is. But now I have to write it down. And if my writing isn't as good as my verbal delivery, I get questions. Well, now I have to answer questions.
Mhm.
And normally that exchange in the classroom, each of those students get to hear the other person's question, so we're all on the same page. But now I might get 12 questions that are pretty much the same, and I now have to answer each of them.
You need like one of those big disclaimers where it's like, hey guys, it's like on YouTube where it's like, I've already been asked this question a zillion times. Here's the answer. If you want it, click on this link and go back to this old video. Bye.
And there's definitely like our online learning platform has a discussion feature, but no one uses it with the students. And it would be like my college students, if one person asks a question, they do it in a public forum and I get to answer it and everyone else gets to either chime in or elaborate. But now we're building on it, not repeating. Mm-hmm. For the high school, I just copy and paste a lot of conversations with slight tweaks. It's daunting.
Ugh.
Oh, looks like Tammy is on a mission to get words written today.
Oh boy.
My word count has been lower this week. Not bad. I've already beat my week total, but just so many tasks.
Yeah. I'm forcing myself to go back through the bits that I have to finish up, so it's not like I'm starting from my endpoint and just going forward. It's like, oh, this has to fit in between, so it feels like it's been slow going instead of like just starting something new. No.
I need to wrap up this scene, which I probably have like another paragraph, and then I have to go work on my serial, which the serial actually, as far as word count production goes, is extremely easy. For some reason, that story just flies.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone in that story is in a constant state of panic.
That's so hilarious. I was like, it's like, we have to set things right. Oh no.
It's like, oh no, we're being chased again. Like again.
I definitely feel the stress of like when I do a giant like battle scene, I like feel the anxiety before I type it because I'm like, I know it's like made up in my mind, but like there's so many things that add stress to it where it's like it has to be epic, it has to be good for the characters have to feel like they're struggling, then they have to win somehow that feels clever, and then I'm like, oh no. Like,
yeah, the scene I just wrote, there's none of that. It's sheer brutality, and it
can be refreshing.
Well, and it's my character is going down a gray moral road that is gonna result in some pretty bad things. but then the book's going to end, just, the big bad's defeated and blah blah blah, but I'm going to leave it hanging with her as kind of this not righteous character that you meet in the future. And my readers already know her from the first book, of my superhero series, and there's going to be still a gap of how did she go from this tyrannical person to that sweet loving woman there. And what do you know, there's another trilogy.
Yeah, I have a friend who does characters like that where they flip flop between being like crazy murderers and then they're like, oh, they're so sweet and fun. You want to hang out with them. And she's like, I have to have the dark side. Otherwise, they're not interesting to me. But then there has to be that uneasiness where are they going to snap at any moment when they're with their suppressed anger?
Well, and part of it is, these people have all these powers. Like, did you watch the show Bad Boys?
Is that the Amazon?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you got to be honest. Like, if these people had powers, even if they had good intentions, at some point you must say, like, I'm all powerful. Like, I just do what I want.
Yeah, why am I putting up with this?
Yeah. Like, why am I taking the high road when I could simply do this? So it's kind of a Magneto, like, might makes right, but you're justified, but you're kind of going down a dark road.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna hop back into Sprint.
Sounds good.
Booyah, we have another person.
How you doing? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Excellent. I'm working on a superhero book, so I thought I'd come to the right place.
Oh, it's a good place to be. What's your subgenre?
Well, the book's Supers Incorporated, so it's got a heavy humorous element, but it's basically I don't know what the superhero subgenre would be.
Oh, comedy.
What's that?
Comedy, humor.
Yeah, but it's not all slapstick. There's obviously serious, plot stuff going on, but it's the first corporation in the world to have superheroes. It's the only superheroes in the world, and there's a new guy that works in the mailroom that's trying to work his way up.
Okay. We were just talking about Bad Boys from Amazon.
Oh, yeah.
Like, corporate sponsored superheroes.
Yeah, definitely not that dark.
Oh, good.
No.
That was very dark.
I tend to like my stuff very, very dark.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. I enjoyed the show. I'm just not writing that.
So basically what happens is we randomly jump in and out of sprints, and then and then in between sprints we basically just shoot the shit.
Sounds good. I might pop in and out. This, first time. The computer seems to be holding up. The web interface, I guess, takes most of the load off of the streaming.
That's what I like about StreamYard so much, is that the processing is happening on their end.
Right. Yeah, because I tried using what is it called, OBS one time, and it was a little taxing because I'm on a MacBook Air.
So I have a MacBook Pro, and we used to do the podcasts. We would Skype in and then pull the windows from that into OBS.
Yeah.
And you could, it got so bad that I had to move my computer away from everything because the fan was getting so loud.
Wow.
And then occasionally in the middle of the podcast, it would just shut down from overheating.
Yeah.
So.
Well, this is a good deal. So is this going on the Facebook right now, or what?
It is actually happening on Facebook and YouTube this very moment.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess I should have trimmed my beard a little bit, but that's all right.
The quarantine.
So I see your 12:40 to 1 is a sprint. Or what time zone are y'all in?
I'm on Eastern.
Okay, so that's right now. I basically interrupted.
Yeah.
So.
It was a very
tricky. I'm in Texas, so.
Where are you?
I'm in Texas, so I'm on Central.
Okay. Only place I've ever been in Texas is Amarillo.
Okay, yeah, not close to me. I'm in North Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
I drove all the way there.
You got your hat. Yeah, we wear hats every day. Everybody does. I'm kidding.
Is it a requirement? Come on now.
Yeah, right. And you have to have your 6-shooter if you're going to go to the store.
So, while we were there, like, I'm from the Northeast, so we're a bunch of potato pickers, and
right.
I'm in Texas, and we Googled. I literally drove all the way from the Northeast just to get a cowboy hat. It was like a reason to go cross country, and I'm in Texas, and no one has a cowboy hat on, and we go to this barbecue place, and it looks like there's stables out back for horses, and I was like, it's going to be filled. It's going to be nothing but cowboys. We walk in, nothing. And I was like, this is so disappointing. And when we go to the cowboy store, I buy the hat, and, the guy's like 18 years old. And when we step outside, there's a man leaning against the wall with like the hat down, smoking a cigarette in all denim. And I was like, dude, we found the Marlboro Man.
I was about to say, yeah, it's the Marlboro Man.
And granted, we're in a car like on the far end of the parking lot, and I have a telephoto lens like snapping a photo of him.
Right.
And he catches us doing it, and he was not thrilled.
Oh yeah, you might get a beat down for something like that.
Yeah, we drove away very quickly after that.
Yeah. Well, it kind of depends on where you go. If you go to Fort Worth, the Stockyards, that's kind of a nightlife area, and there's a lot of cowboy bars there, and it's sort of, you dress up to wear a cowboy hat. The cowboy hat dresses you up to go out for that sort of thing. But, just around town, you kind of have to get outside the city to some of the rural areas, the small towns. It's more common there.
We drove way out into a completely uninhabited area where it was just farms and fields of whatever. And we were, there was a ranch hand in his pickup truck. He was getting out and he was fixing a broken gate. And we pull off the side of the road and like complete another tourist. And I walk over and I was like, random question, but can I get a photo? And he's like, why? And I was like, I just drove all the way to Texas from Maine, and you're the first cowboy I've actually seen. And the dude was like, you drove to Texas to find a cowboy? And I was like, I've done weirder for less. But the dude posed with my mom.
That's great.
He went with me and we sat and had lunch, and he told us about working the field, and I was like, yes, the experience.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, trivia, I guess, going out to the world. I actually have a cousin who was a rodeo clown.
Oh, wow.
Really? And
he was a professional horseshoer for a while.
That's the second thing today that goes on my somebody does that for a job list.
I have a friend who works as a full-time blacksmith doing he used to do shoes when he was younger. That's what he was trained on, but now he does like artisanal metalworking for like stair rails and stuff.
Nice.
But it's just one of those jobs you're like, that's still a thing. Like,
right?
For some reason I expect robots to do this stuff.
Yeah. Well, they will soon, just working out the kinks on that.
A robot rodeo clown.
So forgive me for, I'm in the group on Facebook, but I've been writing in other genres. So I've kind of just hopped in and out. So I'm not familiar. What are you guys writing right now?
I am working on, so I write kind of a dystopian superhero series in the pretty near future. And I'm writing the prequel series that leads up to that. So it's still in the superhero universe, but it's much more urban fantasy.
Right. Okay. And tell me y'all's names. I apologize.
Oh, I forget. We can actually do.
Oh yeah, the sprint thingy is covering up our name.
There we go. Boom.
There you go.
Sweet. What are you writing, Franklin?
I'm finishing up a fourth book in my teen superhero series. I'm trying to branch it out. I'm doing it's more sci-fi than the previous entries. And then I randomly am starting another hopeful, something that sparked my interest. I'm trying to create a totally different, separate character and world because I'm shoehorning myself in. I'm like, how much more can I do with this? I want a couple more books in it, but it's I gotta diversify a little bit because
but still superhero, right?
Yeah.
So you're making a new world for your new superhero series?
I'm trying. I started the other night when we were doing the drink and write. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do this, and it popped in my head the day before, and I was like, I'm gonna type this out. And then I just went with it. And I'm like, this could be doable. I can make this work.
So what is the main difference between your existing world and the new world?
The new one is going to be futuristic. So not my current one is pretty much modern day. But the idea I had for the other one is in the future, 200 years from now, what is going on. So I guess it could be technically.
I was going to say, just to keep your readers, why not keep it in the same universe and just
tie them together,
shoot it 200 years in the future?
I might. I don't know. It's so early on, but I'm like,
just throw in a few lines of somebody remembering something they read about long ago when superheroes first came or something.
Yeah, I do have some of that where it's remember the olden days when they had rubber tires? It's could throw that in there and be it's a continuation technically. So
And the idea for that is if someone likes your first world, then they'll like this. And if they like that, and so it's another entry point into your universe. And then if they like that, they might go, oh, this is also in the universe, but it's earlier. So let's check that out.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess it would make sense.
Completionist in them, you know, they have to read the whole canon.
Oh yeah, I'm totally one of those people that collects. Like, I find somebody and I'm like, do you have all this stuff? If it's not available, why is it not available? I'm going to buy all.
And I like doing, right now what I'm doing is changing timeline. So my first series takes place only 12 years in the future. And then the current series that I'm working on is in 1944. And the serial I write is in 2240. So I'm able to have like these massive cataclysmic events change my world so big.
Are these all tied together though in the same universe?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my superheroes, it's the same event that causes everything, but in the future it's much more. I write very abysmal storylines, but it gives me the chance to have some stuff be way more advanced sci-fi-ness, and then some of it is very dystopian because there's a kind of like a nuclear wasteland type stuff.
Yeah.
Stupid bot.
Was there a bot in the chat?
So Franklin and I are in a Discord chat as well, and they're the ones who
there have been bots in the chat.
Oh yeah, yesterday we had so many comments I had to ban almost everyone who came in. It, you know, yay, we're popular with fake people.
All the numbers.
Yeah.
And really, this just became an excuse for us to, one, socialize with other people, and on top of that, write.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at because, you know, I usually go out and write at a coffee shop or something. And just to be around some other people, you know, I mean, I go out and do other things other than writing, but when I'm writing, just to be around people. And now the whole pandemic apocalypse stuff's kind of screwed my plans up.
And
yeah.
I love my house and everything, but I'm so we're breaking up as soon as I can.
Well, you guys probably have it worse because here in Texas, we were never disallowed to go anywhere except for inside restaurants. And even that's starting to open up already. But I've been going to the park, hiking and whatnot, you know, several times a week. So
here in Massachusetts, we can do whatever we want. But there's a bunch of stipulations around everything that we can do. So like we can go to a restaurant for takeout only. We can go grocery shopping. We can go outside, but we can't congregate. So like there's rules on everything, but they're all fairly reasonable. And I don't know. We just rolled out the plan of reopening businesses that are low customer interaction. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I think this is all going to blow up again.
Yeah, maybe. It technically doesn't. I mean, other than minor inconveniences, we pretty much do the same thing, I guess, since we write, you know.
Yeah, it's just like it's stressful because it's like I hate the feel. I'm used to going to the grocery store like every couple days just to buy what I want, and I hate having it be like a giant grand event to go to the grocery store, and then afterwards being like, I'm gonna wash all this for half an hour. Whatever.
I haven't gone to a store in 4 weeks.
Wow. Must have a big pantry.
Thankfully it's just me, so that makes things way easier.
Yeah.
No kids, no family, which I don't know how those people are doing it. But I get like when this all started, I was hoarding. Like the 3 weeks leading up to it, I was like, every time I'd go out and get like my daily groceries, I'd be like, I'm gonna get some extra meat and just put it in the freezer. I'm gonna get a little extra this and a little extra this. And after 2 weeks of doing that, I was like, I don't have room for anything anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been doing Target orders, and then I started getting one of those like home chef meal things.
Oh yeah.
Just it's different ingredients that I don't have readily available. And my apocalypse garden is downstairs growing, so I should have fresh veggies soon.
Yeah.
I've been ready for this.
Right.
Oh boy.
I had soil in my garage waiting, seeds, like it.
I will say it is interesting being a superhero, like at least working currently on superhero stuff. I have jumped around to different genres, but writing stuff now, when I start doing my plotting, I'm like, how is this going to be received? Because like we are dealing with a world-ending thing, apparently, depending on where you are. So like, is my grand villain not a villain enough now? Like,
I'm going to shut down the neighborhood.
Yeah. Oh, this one little big city, that's fine. It's not a big deal. Everyone in that city will just move to the other cities.
When this very first started, I put my zombie books up on discount, and I made it to like the number like 6 in the Amazon free store. And no promos, no nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, I'm glad to know mankind has a sick, twisted sense of humor.
They do. That's why all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I'm going to buy a copy of The Stand. I'm going to read it.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I rewatched all the old, Pandemic and Outbreak and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, maybe I'll get some tips,
So the last time I was in the grocery store, part of me not going out is my anxiety has been super bad. And I'm in the grocery store, and I'm starting to have a panic attack, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to grab the things that are right near me. I'll get out. I'll be fine. And all I could hear in the back of my head was the soundtrack from 28 Days Later.
So amazing. It's like, it's real. It's all real and true.
A bag of potato chips was not worth it.
It's fine. You can get the bag of potato chips. Just wash it down with soap when you get home, because the kids haven't touched it.
Get some nails, drive them into the end of your bat. Go to the store with your.
Yep.
I'm watching the last season of Walking Dead right now, and I'm thinking this isn't too far from the truth.
Yeah, the apocalypse of toilet paper and all that stuff. Right. It's like, I do believe that these people would hole up in like a random facility and just be like, this is all of our stuff, no outsiders.
I used to work at BJ's Wholesale, and while I was working there, I'd always go to work and be like, this will be mine during the apocalypse.
Yeah, just bar the door, you're good.
Oh my God. But yeah, growing up in Maine, we always had camping equipment in the car and stuff if you hit a deer, you skin it and put it in the back. And like, we're ready for these weird things. And so I always make the comment, like, there's a bug out bag in my car just waiting to be used.
Yeah, I was in the military, and I had a bug out bag for that. And I kind of kept stuff around.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Air Force. I was in a combat comm unit, though, so we deployed a lot and set up new sites for various things.
Oh, nice. I lived next to Air Force housing in Camp Lejeune for many years as a child.
Yeah.
Air Force, you guys got them way nicer buildings.
I actually never lived in housing. I was always off base, and I had some nice ones. I'd stay at a hotel on the beach in Florida for some things, but then I also spent multiple 6-month periods over in the desert out in the middle of nowhere. So
my dad has all the stories of Desert Storm, and I don't even like going to the beach because sand freaks me out. So I'm glad someone was willing to do it.
Right.
All right, so Sprint is going to start.
Yeah.
Sprint's going to start. So generally what we just do is we kind of game face it for 20 minutes and then come back and shoot the breeze. And
Sounds good.
all right. So
All right.
be
See y'all
back
on
in
the other
20.
side.
That one went quicker than I thought.
Oh yeah, we're back.
I managed, let's see. Ooh, 559 words.
Nice. Now you got me beat. I'm at 352, but I'm doing something I hadn't done in a long time on this book. I'm actually mostly pantsing, and this is my 9th book. And Pants my first one, which it shows it was like the first book and all that. But then I started going through all these outline techniques and studying different ways and all that. And now I think I've got enough of the story elements and the pacing and all that in my head that's kind of sort of comes out the way it's supposed to. So I'm giving this a try, still knowing key things that are going to happen later, So I know where I'm going, but I kind of on the day-to-day, I want it to be fresh, so I'm having more fun. And so I'm doing a little exploring in my head as I'm writing.
I try to have like particular plot points at the beginning, and then if things go well, my characters will connect those points. Or sometimes there's I need to reevaluate everything I'm doing.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's not like I like to do it so it's not too far along where I can just go back a couple chapters and just tweak a little bit and be like, okay, now it all lines up. But it's terrible when you do it for like a half a book and you're like, well, now I don't have no idea where this is going, and that was all for nothing.
Right.
Going in the drawer.
Well, that was my last book. I was 40,000 words in, and I realized there's no plot. Like, it was the most boring possible thing, and if I felt that, then it wasn't good.
Just call it literary fiction and.
Well, my characters just seem to go to people's houses and talk a lot.
Yeah.
Talk, eat food, have a drink, go to a new location, talk.
Yeah.
Talk about siblings. It's literature.
And it, like, there was like a big bad thing happening, but no one seemed to be able to get to it.
Oh, yeah.
So it was just depressing.
Right. Well, for this one, because it's the first book in the series, and I've got he's not exactly a fish out of water, but he's the green guy that's sort of learning as the reader's learning about the superhero corporation and what superheroes are doing in the world and all that. The progression is really there in revealing the next thing in the system, in what's going on in that world. And so it makes it a little easier to keep that pace going. And I already know the big bad, and I already know the side character, relationships and things like that. So I know where I'm going generally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like discovery writing for characters because then it feels more organic than like plucking stuff off of like various websites,
right?
Compiling it together.
I always try and find somebody I know who's somewhat similar to the character I want, and then I just build off an existing person.
Yeah.
Like, I need a young, stubborn female. Well, who in one of my classes fits that?
Well, I've had this book on pre-order for months and months. It's been like a back project for a long time, and it's finally come to the forefront. So I've been rolling it over in my head a lot.
When's your pre-order up?
End of this month. It's a fast write.
Oh, no pressure,
Yeah. That's why I'm here, I'm sitting down with you guys. I'm writing, so. No, I do this full time, so.
Oh, okay. Quarantine has been horrible. It has let me, for the most part, be a full-time writer.
Right.
I just have to, I work until like 8 or 9 o'clock at night doing all the other stuff so that I can do this and treat it like a day job.
Right.
Because I want to quit my day job.
Yeah, I was in the corporate world for 14 plus years, and I'm done with that.
Ugh.
But it actually comes in handy for this book because he's going into like the corporate superhero world. So all of the garbage I saw and had to deal with, I'm gonna make slightly funnier and put it in here.
Nice.
Looks like Jeremy's still typing.
Oh, so I run this Discord chat, and the
Oh,
bot
right.
that we use to keep all the tallies and stuff, it's just it's freaking out like all over the place. Like it's literally having a thermonuclear meltdown, which is kind of funny.
That's why it's like we'll get to the end of a sprint and it will not register that it's done. And we're like trying to enter our word counts to keep track because it'll tally up everything we've done for the day. And then it's like, oh, the sprint is over. You didn't submit your thing. It's like you never said the sprint was over.
And right now it's like repeating the same handful of lines over and over and over again. I don't even think I have a command to reset it.
I think you need to find Professor Hawking.
Oh, it's so funny because
Anybody get that reference? No.
Steven?
War Games, Matthew Broderick.
Feel like I did. It's like I knew it was from
Hawkins,
something.
though, wasn't it? It was Hawkins, not Hawking. Hawking's the real.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
If you haven't seen War Games, you need to see it. You tipped me on it when you said thermonuclear war because there's the whole shall we play a game, and one of the options was globothermal war. It hacked into a Pentagon mainframe.
I haven't seen that movie in like 25 years.
Yeah, I think it came out in, I don't know, like 81 or something, a long time ago.
Yeah, I remember it used to be one of those movies that would show up on HBO like 4 times a day, every day.
Right.
Okay, so I think we're gonna shoot a sprint at 40.
Cool, because I was right in the middle of something.
Well, sometimes chat is more chatterly, and then sometimes it's more must make words.
Oh, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I might bow out in an hour. Who knows? I'm just kind of, I'm jumping in, meet you guys, which thank you, by the way. And, giving this a try. I'll probably do it maybe 50% of my writing time. Depends on how long. How long do y'all usually go?
So normally it's we've been doing it for noon to 2.
Okay.
Pretty much every day, and then on Thursdays we're doing 6 p.m. Eastern time, so we can drink and write.
Cool.
Or AKA just get really drunk and be goon.
Be interesting for the editing later. So.
Yeah, it did require quite a bit of overlooking.
Well, yeah, I'll be in and out, over the next many days. But and I know we got a writing thing now. But don't take it personally if I don't pop in, because I also have lots of other things, like I have to go play disc golf and this, that, and the other. So.
Oh, yeah.
I suppose we can handle that.
All right.
But yeah,
writing time, I think.
We've been trying to do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday at noon Eastern time, and then we just go until we got other stuff to do.
Yeah.
So if you ever want in, just shoot me a message, and the link changes every day.
Oh, okay.
And then I can just keep sending you the link.
Yeah, if it's cool, I'll Facebook friend y'all later so that the messages don't go in that other inbox.
And then every day, like, I log in and I'm just like, Franklin, here's the link. I don't even care if you want to be there. Just show up.
Cool.
Most times I can. Sometimes I'm like, oh, really? Noontime is the time that my day job decided everything has to happen? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Damn jobs.
I know, for real.
Okay, I'm going to go write.
All right, me too.
Here we go.
Sprint is up.
Sprint is up.
537 words.
I didn't parse out from before, but I'd say I did about what I did before. Yeah.
My normal word count as of late has been in like the 280 to 350 range. So today is just flying.
Yeah. Yeah, if I've got a book plotted like chapter, scene, with a little bit of detail, it's usually about 1,000 words an hour for me, 1,200 maybe.
Yeah, I'm right about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of exploring. I just made the augmentation technologies department, for example, that his friend works at. So yeah, just feeling as I go.
I also took a moment to go onto Amazon and look up your book.
Well, thank you,
dude. I love that cover.
Yeah, it's. I'm happy with it. It was done by Deranged Doctor Design.
I could tell the moment I saw it.
Yeah, they did all my sci-fi covers, my Jake Mudd series. But yeah, I like them a lot.
When I was with my publisher, they were not the only artist for the publisher, but it was the go-to.
Yeah, they're really professional and they're talented. And I got the same, like the first cover I did, because I've had, I think maybe 10 done with them. Because I've got some in store that I haven't used yet. And yeah, the first artist that did my first cover, I liked him so much, even though we were using the go-between, that kind of handles the administrative stuff, that I specifically requested him, and he did all of them.
I actually, that was
nice.
And
yeah.
The problem I had was my book, they asked a whole lot of questions about the characters to put on the cover, and my publisher was misbranding my book and trying to turn it into a romance because that's what they did. And I told them, I was like, dude, if I see a dude on there with abs, I'm gonna be pleased. Like literally all my characters are like these, like you're a teleporter. You're gonna be a chubby dude. It's not like you're
right?
like running around.
Oh, I'd really like to go from the couch to the kitchen.
Yep, just poof, gone. Oh, look, I've walked an entire 12 steps today.
Well, maybe teleporting takes some energy somehow,
And so that's actually, we wound up, we couldn't agree on characters because there's just not stock art for anything I was after.
Right.
And ultimately they wound up doing the icon, and I'm super happy with it.
That one's good, and I've seen a lot of other icon ones they've done, or like Irish knotwork, Celtic knotwork, things like that. Yeah, actually, some of my sci-fi ones are on their portfolio on their site.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some of your other ones. Like it is a good, consistent cover.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the graphic, the text is, the same, just color changes, the same little design element behind it. And then I went with like it's a back shot and the guy and his jacket, which is sort of a thing in the series. It's like kind of like, Mal from Firefly or something.
Yep.
And then it transitions into spaceships later because sort of the story gets a little bit bigger. And his ship's AI also, which is why it's kind of key on there. But yeah, the branding they're really good at.
Yeah, my current designer is actually an artist I found from at a Comic-Con, and 2 years later when I finally relaunched the books from the publisher, I was like, dude, I really love your artwork. Can you do a 5-piece set? So when I put all my books together, there's one art piece. I don't know why, but that was a weird stipulation I had to have.
Very classic like Marvel event type stuff.
You're talking about on the spines, like the spine lineup?
No.
Or the front?
The fronts all line up.
Oh, really? I've seen the spine a lot, but the front, that's impressive.
So
Okay.
the spine does that, but the actual book turns into, let's see if I can do this, that.
Cool.
So that's all 5 of my book covers together.
That's really awesome. Yeah.
He sent me artwork yesterday for the new series, and because I'm this series, even though it's in the superhero universe, is more urban fantasy, like I'm trying to really honor the obnoxious requirements of urban fantasy, and I'm like, oh, I really love this art piece that you did. Oh, wait. No, got to be an author. Got to look at this from urban fantasy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I don't know if I've struggled with that, but that's definitely something I have to keep reminding myself, because I get just totally into the art, just the visual part of it. And yeah, I commissioned this French artist to do some covers for a fantasy trilogy. It's kind of a spicy fantasy trilogy. But fortunately, we agreed up front for all 3. And she did covers that are like, I don't want to say they're Frazetta in quality, but they're kind of an homage to Frank Frazetta sort of style, because it's sword and sorcery sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And, the main thing to remember that I always have to tell myself is commission all the ones you're going to need up front, or at least have the agreement, because she doesn't really do covers a lot. And I didn't know that. I found her on ArtStation or something. And now she's just doing like game design stuff and commissioned pieces, and I can't get any more covers from her. But thankfully, the series is done. But yeah, it was the art that I was going for when I saw some of her stuff.
Because of quarantine right now, my artist, like, he makes all his money doing conventions, and so I was like, look, I got stimulus check. I'm ready to just dish out money left and right. So can I commission just a random piece for a reader magnet? And he's like, sure. And I was like, it can be a little more your art and a little less anything I need. And he was like, bravo, boom, done. And I was like, here's your money. And I was like, by the way, 4 more books, I need them. So
yeah,
at least at this point, it's definitely working out in my favor.
Hey, and you're helping keeping him afloat, so that works.
Yeah, I try and tell everyone in the Flag team, I will bend over backwards to help out. I just tried out a new editor, and they did me pretty solid. So I was like, guess what? You're gonna get 3 books thrown on your table all at once. So
yeah,
hopefully, can make your mortgage off my edit. Yeah. And then hopefully I can make my money back.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a lot of that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I have 2 different series. One's finished and one's still going, that made really good money. And then I've got other ones that I'm building my back catalog, and eventually the ROI will be positive on ads toward the first book. That's kind of where I'm at.
The thing that annoys me is I wrote a nonfiction book about growing up in the middle of nowhere, Maine, and what it's like to be, rural Maine or in a small town. And that book has paid for my mortgage before. And I hate that book. I don't want anything to do with that book. But it's never been edited, and it's never been revised. And, 6 years later, I'm thinking like, man, you made my mortgage before. Maybe I should go back and spruce you up and do a hardback version and
do a little ads or something.
What was the word count on that one? Was that like a strict memoir?
So originally it started out as a blog, and it was, I think, 70,000 words. It's about 72 chapters. And because it's memoir-ish, like, when you start reading it, you're like, I'm about to go through emotional turmoil to do this, and I'm adding more words because if I put it into KDP, then I get more back on that. And when I took the blog and I just squished it together in a book, I didn't change much. So like, there's even chapters that reference the blog, and I tweaked it just so they knew what it was saying. But I never expected that book to sell. But if I do one promo for that, I can make all 8 of my other books money with one.
Nice.
Wow. It's craziness.
Yeah, I've thought about some nonfiction, but I don't want to get sidetracked, with my long-term goal, because I got a lot of books to write still. And I don't know. I'm not sure what I would write.
I had released my first book and I had just started a writing group, and I just needed an ongoing project to kind of keep me busy because I didn't know what next book I wanted to do. And 3 years later, like, I was getting, every article I put out would get like between 5,000 to 10,000 hits. And I was like, I'm not making money on this. But I started editing it and I'm like at 20%, and just, wow. It's a full-time job just to edit that one book right now.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I hate that it makes money.
Hey, by the way, Franklin, I just stuck you in my book using your name, just your first name, because I was just on the fly. I was like, well, this guy who's his friend, he needs a name, and he's Franklin, which works because he works in like the tech department. So I'm thinking Benjamin Franklin,
Oh yeah, I've totally dropped like coworkers and like acquaintances' names into books where I'm like, I hope they don't find out, but. Like the people that know me wouldn't figure it out. They'd be like, "Oh yeah," then they'd be like, "That is not like that person at all. You just stole it."
Well, obviously I don't know you that well, so I just stole your name. But that's
it's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my main characters in my book is a Frank. So.
Yeah.
There have been some really crazy people that I've not worked with in the flesh, but like through the internet. And I'm just like, your name is so exotic. It's perfect. And I just like jot them all down, being like, yep, this is my list.
I use student names all the time. Just I need your name. Don't worry, you're not going to survive very long.
Oh, yes.
It'll be a quick in and out.
Right.
It's like one of those things where if you had a Patreon, you'd be like, donate like $15 a month to me and I will kill you off in one of my books.
Well, you know what I did? Speaking of name stuff, I wrote, it's a spicy comedic sorcery kind of guy goes to a sorcery school story. And, I had some beta readers in a group for it. And a lot of those guys and some girls, they all got some mention in the book. But one of them was like the name of the guy that wrote this tome of magic that the character uses, or there's a spell that's named after him. So they all got little name drops.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, for the first time ever in any of my books, there's Frank, and then there was a Frankie. Because I figured statistically, with all the names in my books, somebody would have the same first name. Right. So it finally happened. I can even. Oh, they're already sprinting. Who cares about them?
I'm probably going to have to run away to do real stuff so I don't get in trouble.
Are you writing at work?
Technically, it's like a lunch break, but like I'm the only one. Like we're all working remotely, so it's like, okay, you're like setting stuff to go and then just waiting for it to process. So
right. And it's not like you're putting the fact that you're writing at work online on video or anything like that.
Everyone else that I see, I don't have kids, so everyone else that I work with is like, yeah, I gotta stop halfway through so I can do school stuff, and I'm like, this is like my school stuff for
Right.
me, the child of myself.
There you go.
Technically, this is my office hour for work, and as long as I respond to emails immediately, it still classifies. And so, like, I had to respond to one email during this office hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So double dipping is what I like.
Yeah.
To say.
Uh, So probably if and when hopefully things go back to normal, I'll have to figure out my schedule for writing. But it's been all like meshing together. So
Yeah. Yeah, part of the reason I jumped on here is I need to like be more consistent when I sit down. You know?
yeah.
Do you normally write in sprints?
I've done it in the past, but normally I just kind of sit, and if I'm lucky and I'm not distracted and I put on like my shooting earmuffs so I can't hear anything, then eventually I'll just drop into the story and I'll lose track of time and it'll be like 2 hours later.
Mhm.
But I'm not trying to sprint. I'm just kind of like, I call it method writing. You know how there's method actors? I'm just totally in it and I forget that there's a world. So if I can get in that mode, that's my best writing. But I've done the Pomodoro thing and all that in the past, but now since I technically have all day long to sit here and do this, if I can't get it done all day long, then there's a problem. You know?
Yeah.
Do you go for like a minimum daily word count?
Yeah. And it's based on my deadline for my current work in progress. And then I divide it back and then I kind of track that. Yeah.
Mal Cooper has a launch strategy book that she just put out like 2 months ago.
Okay.
And she's got some nifty spreadsheets that you put in all the information, and it does all the backwards thinking for you. And it even tells you like, start doing your ads now, and you need to post to Goodreads now, and all like
yeah, that's good. I had made some cheat sheets before, but yeah, to have something comprehensive, I might look at that.
Yeah, I don't have a launch date right now, which I feel like I need to wait until I get my artwork. Once I have my artwork, then
right,
because my artist is the slowest one of the process.
Yeah. See, I already have the cover art for book 2 in this series, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you already have the pre-order up for that, or are you?
I don't. The only reason I did a pre-order of this one is because I was writing other genres, and I was like, I really want to get this book done. And if I set a pre-order, then it's going to force me to adjust my total, overall publication schedule that I'll actually get that done. But
you're like me.
2, I don't need to because I'm already in the gears for this now.
Guilt motivates me on everything.
Guilt and not wanting to lose my pre-order ability on Amazon, that sort of thing.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I am trying for about 2,000 words a day, but I started the year, my goal was to do 750 words a day every day, and by the end of the year that would have been like 3 books. But now I'm averaging 1,300 words a day, and it's steadily climbing up. So at this rate, I might be able to do 6 books this year.
Yeah. For me, it's making sure I sit down every day, because sometimes I get too distracted. I go play 4 hours of disc golf. Now, granted, I'm with a bunch of writers, so technically it's kind of work. But
networking.
Just the daily.
Since we've been doing this, and it started because Mal Cooper started doing some live streams, and I was like, oh, well, if I'm in a room for the world to see, like, I feel obligated to be producing something.
Yeah, and with other authors there, so you can't just like, oh, let me, turn that feed off real fast and disappear or whatever.
Well, and that's been like the writing group that I normally go to every week. We sit down, it's a bunch of teachers who are writers, and we, hi, how's everything going? Good. Okay. And then headphones, and you just start clacking away.
Yeah. I went to one of those in Fort Worth. We met at the Museum Cafe, and it was called Shut Up and Write. It was a meetup. And it was good, but a little out of my way to get over there.
Yeah.
I run a New England based author group, and we would try and get stuff together, but the problem is writing groups mean so many different things to different people,
Right.
and I don't have time to critique your work.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but I'm trying to produce a novel every 6 weeks, and this is time elsewhere.
Yeah. I was in a critique writing group several years ago, and it was, it was a good group and all, but there's the time critiquing, but there's also the fact that, well, you're getting critiques and maybe this person doesn't know very much what they're doing, I mean, not to be arrogant.
Yeah, and they also aren't.
But...
Yeah, and if they're not readers of your genre, then how useful is it?
Yeah.
Like if you're giving like a superhero book to someone who only watches Downton Abbey, then like, well, there's no way that you're ever gonna be a fan of what I'm doing, so it's not useful.
And then they're just talking about like grammatical stuff, and at that point, that's what my editor's for.
Yeah.
I pay someone to take care of that.
Worry about that. It's the story. It's how you feel. Were you riveted? Were you gripped? Did you stay in it?
I teach creative writing at the university level, and it is so hard for me as the professor when I am reading a story that I just simply do not like. It's well written. It's well conceived. There's a good plot, good characters, and I just, even like these 10-page critiques I have to do.
So how many stories, I want to say, because I'm basing this off of my own college writing classes, how many stories do you get that are about people just going to a party?
So I don't know if you saw on Facebook, I wrote a thing. It leads into a party, but the scene I had to critique, in 8 pages, there were 27 characters introduced.
Oh yeah. You told me about that.
Oh man.
You were like, are these people essential? Do they have to be mentioned by name?
They're by name, no description, no nothing, just a dialogue tag.
Wow.
And then the next scene,
making a big chart next to it. Yeah.
The next scene, they go to a party and everyone gets drunk. And I'm like, oh man, it was hard enough to follow the narrator when they were sober.
Oh boy. Because I feel like when I took classes for creative writing, there was always like 5 or 6 people that had no idea what to write. So they would just be like, they all go to a party at night. And it's like, what happens next? I don't know. They're just living their lives.
Party.
Oh no, this is not good. While I'm like sitting back writing like a horror story.
The one nice thing about this MFA program is they have to submit a novel in progress, and it has to be over so much done, and it gets read, and then they get admitted. And most of the people that are in my classes, not this class is very young, but the last class I taught, I think the average age was 45. And it was great because we fought about everything. No one agreed with anything, so like there were really good critiques out of it, and it was really respectful. But at the same time, like, we have this little cluster of horror writers, we have this little cluster of young adult, we have and when we had to force crossover, it turned into just sheer chaos.
Yeah.
And I had to play, okay, everyone, make sure you're still that respect thing.
Oh boy.
Have you guys watched Brandon Sanderson's online class lecture videos?
It's on my to watch list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I recommend them. I mean, obviously people have different takes, but he put out several, different years classes, and he was doing this year until just put up old episodes for the rest, because it's kind of staggered. He has one on character, I think 2 on plot, world building, and there's also some on publishing, although his self-publishing side is a little weak, obviously, because he's trad. But yeah, I think it's worth the time.
And like, I didn't particularly care for The Reckoners, but it wasn't for the lack of it being spectacularly written. I'm told, everyone tells me to read Oathseeker or
Oathbringer.
Oathbringer.
You're talking about his Way of Kings series.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I would say, I would recommend for him, because I have another friend that's like, oh, I can't get into his big epic stuff. He did a short collection that I read that was really good. It's because it's not such a huge like time, like you don't have to plan to read it for a month, but like you like, but it was called, I think it was called like Arcanum Unbound.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's like short stories from all of his like different universes that all come together.
Yeah.
So you can pick and choose a couple to read, and he does do really good short stuff, but most of his stuff is like doorstopper.
Yeah.
Well,
the lectures I just like because they give you, different perspectives on how to think about constructing the story, all the different elements. I mean, there's tons of craft books, and we can.
Oh yeah, but it's good because you can hear his students asking the questions, and usually it's like questions that like I would have, and I'm like, oh yeah, this isn't just you like dictating through a book to me. You're like actually like in real time talking to other students.
And he inherited that class from David Farland. He took it as a student under David Farland, Dave Wolverton, David Farland. And then when he retired from that, Brandon Sanderson took it over because he had already started, finishing the Wheel of Time series and all that. So.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I met him.
Dave Farland was recently, it's like a year ago, he wanted to teach at the university close to where he lives. He wanted to teach a master's in, genre fiction, I think it is. And they wouldn't let him because he didn't have a master's, even though he'd written over 100-something books, 200-something probably. So he actually went back to school and got his degree so that he could then teach the class.
Oh, wow.
Academia is such BS all over the place.
You have requirements, but they're not the requirements that we demand.
Right.
So years ago, it was one of my very first conventions. I went to Boscone in Boston, and he was the guest of honor. And one of my students had brought him up. And so I went and took my students' books and got them signed for him. And everyone kept like crowding around him. And I'm thinking, who the hell is this dude? Like, he wrote a superhero book. Like,
and he's kind of unassuming,
Yeah. And you see him and you're just like, oh, Humpty Dumpty Dumpty. And I had to go to the bathroom, and there was a dude kind of blocking the door, and I was like, yeah, no. And so I just walked around him and went in, and standing at the urinal, I just looked over and I'm like, oh, that's Brandon Sanderson. Still at this point, he's kind of like, how'd you get this gig? I didn't know anything about the Wheel of Time. I couldn't finish the first book. And so I just kind of looked over, and he was like, hey. And I was like, hey, like.
You didn't break the rule about no conversation at the urinal.
And so I'm like, but he thought I was going to. And so he kind of like cut it off.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, if anyone I was going to talk to, I'd talk to your agent, because apparently he knows what he's doing. And come to find out, it was his agent blocking the door, so people would crowd in. And so I came out and I started talking to the agent, and he comes out of the bathroom, and he's like, oh, hi. And, hey, still don't know you from a hole in the head, but your agent I'm looking for an agent. So this is the guy I want to talk to. And I'm thinking, man, my claim to fame is I peed next to Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
And years later, now I know.
Rubbed off.
What's that?
I said maybe something rubbed off.
I have learned at conventions, while the bathrooms are always extremely disgusting, it's where you always meet celebrities.
It's a good place for them to like hide out for a few minutes, I know they have like the private lounge for the big ticket people, but
Eugene from The Walking Dead and the big, he was the military guy, the big dude for a while. I bumped into them in the bathroom as well, and I'm like, the cast of Walking Dead is chillaxing in the bathroom trying to avoid people. This is weird.
That's funny.
Craziness.
Oh, it looks like they're going into another sprint. So
I'm going to jump off and then go see what is happening in all my emails.
All right, I'm gonna jump off and get a sandwich or something. You said Monday through.
So we do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday noon, and then Thursdays at 6 p.m.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll catch y'all again this week then.
Yeah, hit us up. I literally am here every day.
Facebook friend you so we can do the message where I see it. If
Yeah,
that's cool.
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right. I will chat with you guys later.
All right. Thanks. Later.
See ya.